Hello, and welcome back to the Simplifiers podcast, where we take topics in work and in life and simplify them. And friends, we've been talking a lot about culture in the workplace, right? Thinking about how do we really create a culture where not only our direct reports are thriving, but hey, guess what? We're thriving as well. And my special guest today is taking a slightly different angle to it, and I just cannot wait for you to meet her. We're simplifying how to be a joy-centered people leader at work. Now, my special guest, her name is Sheryl Raphael Whitaker, and she's a leadership transformation expert and a best-selling author of the book, It Starts with Joy, The Inner Shift That Changes Everything. She's also the founder and CEO of Eden Anthony LLC, helping leaders move from disconnection and overload to clarity, authenticity, and unshakable joy through her JoyShift method and Joy is my COO philosophy. She also hosts a live weekly show called It Starts with Joy that's all about the human side of leadership. Her background includes senior leadership roles at State Farm, Auto One Insurance, AIG, and USAA, where she has led enterprise training and learning transformation for over 37,000 employees. So I'd like to welcome to the Simplifiers podcast, Sheryl Raphael Whitaker. Hey, Sheryl.
Hi, Mary. How are you? Thanks for having me.
So happy that you're here. I'm so glad that people get to see you and hear from you because you have so much good stuff to share with people. I truly believe that.
I appreciate it so much. I love it.
And now I have to ask the hard question out front because I think this is how we're going to actually go deep.
Okay.
Most times when people write books, it comes from a place of real deep pain, where maybe they have had some suffering in their personal life or work life, and that has caused them the inspiration to write the book to help ease the pain for others. Would you say that's the case for you, as why you're writing a book about joy in the workplace?
Oh, 1,000%. As a matter of fact, my editor, as we were going through the process, I felt like every other day she was coming back to me asking for another story, that I packed away a long time ago. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I want to be super clear and simplify it right from the jump. When you're talking about joy, you're not thinking about joy as a feeling or an emotion. Like
No.
you talk about it specifically as joy is an operating system or joy is your COO.
Yes.
What do you mean by that? And what's the cost to a team when a leader runs on the opposite, urgency, fear, or control instead?
Yeah. So when I sat down and started thinking about, hey, when it comes to leadership, what really is my point of view? I just had to sit with myself and figure out like what was making my heart sing, or what kind of impact could I have out there in the world when I started my own business. And at first, to be honest, Mary, I thought, hey, you know what? I'm a happy leader. Then when I was really honest with myself, I realized that happiness is fleeting, right? I was a little afraid of using the word joy because joy means something different to everybody. And nobody is talking about joy as an operating system or an infrastructure or connected to leadership. But when I was really, really like thinking about it, I realized that, hey, when I think about the secret to my success as a leader, how I see people, how I got work done through others, it was because joy was my foundation. I was in integrity with myself and in alignment with who I really am as a person, even when things got hard.
Yeah. And let's just say the inverse. We've all had bosses that are not anchored in that place. And it's not a fun place to work at. You very rarely stay in those jobs when you're working with the inverse of that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the stories that I tell is kind of like a thread that runs through my book is the story of Janet, who was a very, very toxic leader, a very, very powerful leader. And what I needed to do in order to reconcile working with someone who literally it felt like every day she was coming after my joy, not just to knock it off a little bit, but to literally I felt like she was coming to destroy it.
I mean, if you are listening to us right now and you've ever had a boss like that, raise your hand right now. I hate to say that that happens more times than not. I mean, for
No.
example, the 2025 Gallup Workplace State of the Global Workplace Survey actually put out a stat recently that said only 27% of managers globally are engaged at work, which again, if you think of the inverse, you're talking about literally 70% of managers out there either hate their job, are mentally checked out, and
Yep.
disengaged managers create disengaged teams. Point blank.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. And I often say, I think I might have said this in the book, that joy is the operating system, happiness is the app. So what I'm
Mm.
looking for is to take, I love that stat. I'm going to remember that one, is to get leaders to understand that if joy is not your chief operating officer, what I mean is like the COO of any organization, Mary, they're the ones who know where all the bodies are buried. They're the ones who are controlling all the resources. They are, at least in the organizations I've worked in, they've been like the life and blood of that C-suite. I actually thought about CEO, but I was like, no, it's the COO. And so I'm saying if you can't lead from that place, if you can't find a way for joy to be your chief operating officer and how you lead, you lose the right to do what you're calling leadership. You might
Yeah.
think you're leading, but you're most likely leading in name and title only.
Yeah. And sometimes in fear and control and power struggles and all of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you might get the work done. That was the case with Janet. The work got done, but there were bodies left behind everywhere, and she wasn't really held accountable for how the work got done as long as it got done.
Right. And it poisons
Yeah.
the well. It poisons the well, not only in her team, I imagine also cross functionally with other partners because they go,
Oh, yeah.
yikes, I don't want to work with them. How do we solve this problem and go around this team to
That
get the
happened a
job
lot.
done? Yeah, which is
Yeah.
not great.
That
I mean,
happened a lot. That
not
happened a
great.
lot. And that's what I
So,
love about this conversation about what you're doing with the Simplifiers podcast, because it really is simple. As a leader, you can you can lead from joy and get results. You can think
mhm.
about the people, the human, and make a difference in your work for your organization. You don't have to choose. It's that simple.
Yeah, it's not rocket science. I really do think, but I
No.
think what makes it complex, what makes it hard. Here's my theory on this is that I think a lot of people just never had a great boss, and not a lot of people have had a good role model that shows them that there's a different way to lead and coach and
Hmm.
mentor
Hmm.
rather than just being that taskmaster. Because I think what happens is that if you don't have a role model in this and you've not read Cheryl's book yet, like you don't even know what you don't know, right? So you don't
True.
know it's possible. And so you
Yes.
don't know where to even begin. So you start from a place of insecurity and you're like, well, I'm going to put up this big wall and this big bad personality to hide the insecurity. But it's what everybody sees, like literally the writing's on the wall. Can you
Yeah. You're
expand
not
on that,
fooling
Cheryl?
anybody. Yeah. You're not.
No,
You're
not at
not
all.
fooling anyone. I was telling someone today, I was thinking about another leader, not Janet, who I worked for before her. And she said, oh, Cheryl, she's like, I just love being in leadership. The only problem is the people. Can't
Mhm.
stand the people. And I'm looking at her like, what on earth are you doing leading? Like, what? You're leading people. You're leading human beings. That's what we're doing here. We're all
Yeah.
humans on this planet. I just don't understand why this is such a hard concept for leaders to understand.
Yeah, so let's break it down. What
Yeah.
are the most common signs that a people leader is not joy centered? I mean, even if they're high performing, like give us the signs of what a person is like if they're not joy centered versus somebody who actually is joy centered.
Hmm. I will use the example, this one's really, really super simple, of how you come in to the office in the morning. Are you recognizing everyone who you're whizzing past as you're heading to your office?
Yes.
Are you taking the time to engage with individuals? If you're not, more than likely you are not a joy-centered leader. And I'm talking about something really, really basic. The opposite. And the reason why I'm using that example is because I remember years ago I was working in a smaller organization. I had a department of about 70 people. And it was one of those places where I could see everybody. Like we were all in one huge. And when I first started working there, every morning, the first part of my day, Mary, I dropped my stuff off in my office and then I walked the floor and would talk to you about your weekend, talk about the pictures that you have in your cube, talk about a particular problem, work or otherwise. And I did it. I worked in that organization for 8 years. And someone told me, it eventually got sold. Someone told me at the end when everybody was moving on that when I first started, people were saying, she can't possibly be that real. Like she can't possibly. Everyone waited. I don't know if they were wagers or not, but they waited 6 months, a year and a half. By 2 years, they realized that, oh, wait, that's just who she is. Because I understood we were doing really hard work. We were responsible for millions of dollars in litigation. And I was smart enough to know that the work was getting done through those individuals as human beings. And it was my responsibility to let them know that I saw them, right, as people. There was not one person who wasn't willing to like run through a wall for me. And I was doing the same for them.
I love that. I mean, it is such a clear and, as you say, a simple reminder. Here's what I heard in what you just said there. It's a matter of shifting your body language and the signal you're sending outwards from down to up. Right? Like, are you walking into the office, checking your text messages? Your body language is closed off, shut, and very much insular. You're thinking and only about you, right?
Yes.
Versus
Yes.
just bringing that up and being more aware of the horizon of the people around you. And
Yeah.
the other piece that it makes me think of is, and again, duh, I'm just going to say it. It's the human side of interacting and connecting, right? This is how you build strong pillars of trust and respect in your working relationships, right?
Yes.
It requires you to have that up energy to see what's going on and remember the little details count. How was your kid's soccer game last weekend? How's your husband coming over that stomach flu? Like, what's going on in your life?
Yes.
It doesn't have to be big monumental conversations. It's micro moments, right?
Absolutely.
Done in repetition. Tell me more.
Well, some might be listening to this and saying like, okay, I'm a very busy executive. I don't have the time to say hello to every single solitary person on my team.
Yeah.
Right? And I understand that. But you are responsible. It's about influence. It's about creating the type of environment that is going to make people bring their best selves to work. Creativity, innovation. When there are problems, because I tell you, the leader who walks in straight and doesn't say good morning to anybody, I experienced that. No one wanted to go in and tell him that there was a problem.
Yeah, because
Right?
psychological safety is not there. You've not put the reps in to build that trust and safety for me to come in, because I see you as a hard-nosed, aggressive, head down kind of leader.
Absolutely. And if you're fearful, so no one's coming to that person with any problems. They're going to find out about it the last minute, right? No one was coming with any fresh ideas, right? No one was asking questions. No one was making decisions, or even worse, you made a decision and then everyone's nodding in a meeting. And then there's a meeting after the meeting where it's like, did you get that? Did you understand that? I don't agree with that. Well, we didn't tell her that. You know what I mean? Like all these things, all this noise that's getting in the way, and you're going to be doing the same work over and over and over again, or just making it harder.
Yeah. And I feel like you have such a heart for this. Like you have certainly, it seems, especially with the story in your book with your past boss, who you called Janet, you've experienced this firsthand, and you know deep down in your heart, there's a better way to work, right?
Yes.
So I'd love to read literally page 1 in your book really quick before we dive into the practical stuff. You say this book is written with so much love for you, not the polished version of you, the high performer, the one who has all the answers, the real you, the one who's tired of pretending it's all quote unquote fine when something deep inside knows it isn't. The one who wants to lead in a way that feels more honest, more grounded, and more like you. It really hits a nerve for me because it's like, well, yeah, there is a way better way to work. And why do we work like this sometimes? And why do we even accept these kinds of behavior in corporate America? So you talk about this joy audit, which is a tool and framework that you teach your clients and your readers about. What is the joy audit? How does it work? And what are a couple of questions that managers should be asking themselves to gain clarity?
Yeah. So the joy audit is just a really simple, I call it a Cosmo quiz, right? And you can just go online and just, print it off and just answer yes, no, and you tally it up. I might be showing my age by saying Cosmo quiz.
Oh, no, it's great. Love it. I knew exactly what you meant.
You know what I meant, right? Okay, good. But one of the questions, and the most important question, is actually, I think it might be the very last question. And it's something like, am I now the leader that I hoped I would be when I decided I wanted to get into leadership? That is to me, that is a really important question because you're testing yourself to see why did I get into leadership in the first place? And am I proud of who I am as a leader today? How am I showing up every single day? So a lot of the questions in this joy audit, Mary, are all about how are you showing up on a daily basis? Because really, it's about your team, but it starts with you. You as the human, you as the leader, you are setting the tone. You are creating an environment for things to get done or things to stall out and not get done. You are creating psychological safety or you are creating fear.
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, I think about literally any change I've ever made in my life. Change comes in two places. Either somebody's forced that change on me, or I've come to a breaking point where I literally can't stand whatever it is any longer. And I have made the choice that I need to change. But either way, I think starting off with an audit makes a lot of sense because, as we said at the top of this episode, you don't know what you don't know sometimes. And if you are a terrible boss, let's just say it, but you think you're doing a great job because you're getting stuff done, you got high performers. I think it's worthy to just get off the hamster wheel for a second and take an audit like this and assess, do a self-assessment to understand what really is the baseline at work. Is this the right way to work? Is there a better way? Could I create a more safe, more collaborative, more innovative work environment for my team just by making these tiny shifts in how I show up as the people leader, right?
Yep, how you show up. It's funny. I had one leader reached out to me after she read the book, and she said, "Damn, Sheryl, I've been in leadership for a long time, and now I'm sitting here thinking, oh, sugar, am I a good leader?" And I was like, yes, you are a good leader. But we all have room for improvement. It's just, for some, it is looking at your leadership by looking at yourself in a different way, through a different lens, through the lens of joy.
Yeah. I mean, what's the old adage, right? You don't leave bad companies, you leave bad bosses.
Yes. I mean, it's still the case today, right? And the new generations, they have higher expectations for these leaders than I know I did in my day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of responsibility. You got to get down with the human.
So, side note to anyone who's listening, everything that we talk about in this episode, you can find at the show notes at thesimplifiers.com. That's where you can click through and find the joy audit and all the stuff. So, especially if you're in your car driving and listening to us, just flag this, go over to thesimplifiers.com. So, in your book, you talk about the JoyShift method, which is
Yeah.
4 phases: joy aware, joy embraced, joy committed, and joy in motion. Can you simplify those down just step by step? What does it look like at work? And what's maybe one simple action a people leader could take this week for each of those?
Okay, so I'll start off with joy aware. Joy aware is just having a recognition that fear is in the room, and fear is possibly, if you're honest with yourself, having a direct impact on your behavior, how you're showing up, right? So it's just initially, like for a lot of folks who I've talked to, coached, and just engaged with this book, they are just kind of like that kind of like light bulb moment that goes off and says, "Oh, wait a second, am I leading from fear? Right? Am I fearful, or am I the one who's creating that environment for others? Is that me? Do I think this is real or not?" Because there are some people who think that this is a whole bunch of BS, right? And for those folks, it's really not for them, right? But there are others who have had it and lost it, or they want it, or they're just skeptical, but they're still listening, right? So just taking a moment to notice and be aware, right? That's the tip. That's the tip. Just like sit down with yourself and have a conversation. How do you feel on a Sunday morning about Monday?
Yeah. Yeah. I call it the
Right?
Sunday scaries.
Yes, the Sunday
It's
scaries.
all in the book that I'm releasing this spring. It's such a prevalent issue, especially in corporate America, especially if we're talking about only 27% actually are engaged and like their job. That means almost 80% don't. So it's huge.
I
So
know.
joy embrace, tell us about that. What's one simple thing a people leader can do?
That is the second step, and that is looking at yourself in the mirror and accepting or embracing the fact that the person who is blocking your joy, more often than not, it's going to be you. You are
And
the
then
one.
that's the point where everybody goes, oh, well, it's me. Close the book. We're done.
Yep, exactly,
But then
exactly.
you got to open it back up, right? Because that's where the real work begins, right?
That is where the real work begins. That's where the real work begins. And so you just have to catch yourself in the act, and it's about being intentional, Mary, and then just having you really do have to sit with yourself, right? And then just recognize, all right, oh my God, when I just said that, what was I doing? Where was I leading from when I said that particular thing to that particular person? Catching yourself in the act.
Yeah, for sure. I just released a guided visualization last week, actually, that was about helping people listen, almost like a meditation, and
Right.
thinking about what it's like to be a calm, centered people leader versus the inverse of that. So I'll link that in the show notes as well, because I think, again, we know what it feels like in our body when we show up unprepared, insecure,
Oh
working from
yeah, oh
fear.
yeah, 100%.
But I don't know if we always know what the better way feels like, and I think there's always just a little bit of fear of like, well, what if I come off as being soft, or a pushover, or not taken seriously? What would you say to
Mhm.
those people that have sort of these myths in their head that joy equals softness?
Put yourself in the shoes of the people that you're working with and that you lead. And by the way, we're talking about leadership, but this really goes for life
Yeah.
as well. Janet, they say hurt people hurt people.
Mm.
There were times when Janet would come to us and she would just be moaning and groaning about what she was experiencing above her. And
Yeah.
everything that she talked about was the same thing she was doing to us. right?
It ripples down.
It ripples down. Everybody wants to be treated with respect and to be treated with some kindness, not nice, kindness, and do I dare say some love in there? We spend so many hours, years of our life working. Why wouldn't you want to be human there? Being human is not soft. Being
Yeah.
vulnerable is hard. But you
Yes.
do it, and then others will follow suit.
Yeah. So then joy committed, what does that look like? What can we do?
That's taking full ownership. That's taking full ownership on how you show up as a leader. That's having really hard conversations with yourself, right? And then accept. You already were aware. You've already embraced and accepted. And now that joy committed is about agency, about responsibility. And the tip there is just to make a vow to yourself. You can lie to everybody else, but you can't lie to yourself. Make a vow on what's one thing you are going to change about your leadership that leans into joy as a result of what you were aware of and what you embraced in those first two steps.
I love that. And then the last phase is joy in motion. What's the difference?
Oh, this is Nike. So in this case, you committed to it in Joy Committed. Now just do it.
Yeah, do the thing.
Just do the thing, right?
Yeah.
You recognized it, you've accepted it, you're taking responsibility for that change. So joy in motion is just that, doing it.
Yeah.
Just
So I'm going to ask the question that is in the negative Nancy friend in my head. I can hear her voice that's saying, yeah, but Sheryl, all of that sounds great, but I don't feel much joy in work right now. Like, how can I be joyful for others when I feel like the hammer is down on my head? How do I even start? It's the
I get
audit,
that question.
right?
Yeah, it's the audit. Yep, I was just about to say it. Thank you, Mary. I love the fact that you read the book. It is. It's the audit, and it's the question you have to ask yourself, right? So life, you are in a spot right now, right? Life is not getting longer. Life is getting shorter, right? So what do you want to do with the dash, right? I always think about that. You've heard that before about the dash.
Mm-mm.
So if you, it's a little bit morbid, but it resonates when, you're born and then you leave this place, right? And there's a dash, right? 1960 something to wherever, right? But what are you doing with that dash? We spend more years of our life working than anything else we do, more than our retirement time. I mean, more than we spend time with our families. I mean, it's like it's a part of who we are. So if you're not finding joy in yourself, aside from what you do for work, right? If you're not finding that joy within yourself, you need to have a real conversation and think about what you can do to make that change.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean like not everybody is able to well, I'm not having joy in work, so I'm just gonna pick up, I'm gonna do something else. Some people do, right? But if you can't, that doesn't mean that as a human being, you cannot find things that could light you up on the inside where it really matters to you and integrity with yourself. I believe
Yeah.
everybody has the ability to try.
Yeah. What is it? The 1,000 daily choices that you make, it can directly impact your experience of life, right? It's not what
Yes.
happens to you in life. It's how you perceive the experience in life, right? So you have agency to make those 1,000 daily choices. And a lot of times our brain's in autopilot and we don't even think about it. Like, we're just going to eat this crap food. We're going to get bad sleep tonight. We're going to not go work out. And like all of those choices cause the ripple effect of worse outcomes. But I really think, there are controllables at work and there are uncontrollables at work, but there still is a choice, right?
Yes.
And so if joy is an operating system and you really start to believe into this, read the book and start to experiment on ways that you can make positive change in your work, Let's break that down. So if you're a people leader, the moments that you could make change, positive change with this manifesto really is maybe giving how you give feedback to others, how you handle conflict or decision making under pressure.
Yeah.
Can you
Absolutely.
share a couple like before versus after examples? Something like
Yeah. So let's talk about decision making, right? Being present in the room. So before, you might bring your team together and you just come straight forward with, this is what we're doing. I mean, this is not rocket science, Mary, right? Right? So this is what we're doing. Any disagreements? Everyone on board? Everyone's sitting there like, we're on board. Okay. Off you go. Go forth and conquer. After is taking the time to sit down with your team and have a conversation. Ask them what they think. Ask them to disagree with you. Ask them to disagree with each other and see what comes. People will be shocked, and there'll be so much more richness that'll come out of that conversation than you just dictating what needs to be done. Right?
100%. And, I think about like the different leadership styles out there. An autocratic person is one that barks commands, go, go, go. A democratic one is just like you explained, like, hey, let's bring together and talk through decisions, collaborate, and decide as a collective. Then you've got like laissez-faire bosses. You're sort of laid back, whatever you guys decide, just get the job done, right? And then there's transformational bosses who are more of that coach and mentor that kind of walk you and guide you through your own professional development and evolution.
Yeah.
And I think what I hear in what you're saying, Sheryl, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you're a firefighter and you're literally running into a burning building, you're not having democratic conversations. Hey guys, do you think we should save the dog over there?
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
You're going to go save the dog. We're not going to talk about it, right? It's autocratic. Go save the dog. That's good. We're saving lives. But that kind of autocratic modality is not always the best answer, right?
No, you got to read the room and know what you got to be present. You have to be present. You're right. If I'm a firefighter and I'm bringing them in, we're not talking about it. We know what we need to do. We're going to go and then we're going to do it. And there are times for that. But you and I both know that there are other times as a leader, more often than not, every day is not a fire. And yes, some people say every day there's a fire. Well, why is every day a fire?
Because we perpetuate the fire drill mentality.
Thank you. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Feedback is another one. Feedback is a gift. It is. And if you're not leading from that place, you might even just be fearful to even share with someone that they've got some things that they need to work on in order to be better. But if you are someone who's leading from joy, then you know that it is so much better to be kind than it is to be nice. And you are going to give that person the feedback that they need so they can thrive, right? So they're not surprised, so they can get better or find something else that's more suited for their skill set. But I mean, so many people are like, they go through the performance management process and then they're surprised at year end by their rating because their boss didn't take the time to have conversations with them all year long about how they were doing.
If this intrigues you, I highly recommend getting her book. It's called It Starts With Joy, The Inner Shift That Changes Everything. You can find that online, wherever you buy books or even at your local bookshop. Ask for it there. And now, Sheryl, you have this new morning show. It's called It Starts With Joy Live. It premiered at the beginning of this month. It's every Wednesday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, right?
Yes.
Where can we watch that and tell me more?
Sure. So, it's amazing. I actually really thought that I was going to do a podcast and I was getting ready, gearing up. And then I was invited to be on this live morning show as part of, it's called Mornings in the Lab Network. And basically, we're just having live conversations. And on my show, It Starts With Joy Live, we're talking about joy. Right, but I'm having conversations with leaders and others about some core pillars: the inner critic and imposter syndrome, leadership, identity, like who are you really, well-being, boundaries. So things that can either feed your joy or can, I call them joy killers, or take them away.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. We're just having a lot of fun. Right, just premiered on February 4th, and the next one is tomorrow, February 11th.
Awesome. Well, we
Yeah.
will put the links in the show notes for you guys to find that, and her website, EdenAnthonyEliteTalent.com. And you hang out mostly on LinkedIn as well. So
Yes.
if you go to our show notes, you'll be able to find her LinkedIn and connect with her there. Tell her that you heard this episode. It makes a real difference for
Yeah, I would love
spreading the word.
I would
So
love
as
that.
we wrap up, Sheryl, there's a few questions I like to ask everyone that comes on the podcast. Here we go. First one is this. What's one book or blog that you're reading these days that's either inspiring you or poking holes and challenging your belief system?
Oh, the one I'm reading right now is on my Kindle. It's called All the Cool Girls Get Fired. And
I
it's
love it.
I know, I just love the title, by Laura Brown. And yeah, it's like, it's very empowering for someone like myself who has, after 35 years, burned the boats and not going back to corporate. It is really inspiring, helping me to understand that you really can write your own chapter and it's never too late. And it's actually kind of cool. I like being a
Oh,
cool girl.
I love it. I have not heard about this book and I'm totally adding it to my book list now.
Oh, good, good.
You guys can find that over the show notes again, thesimplifiers.com. Tell me, who is one person in your network, somebody you know personally, you just up to know that it's up to brilliant things and we could shine a spotlight on them? Who would that be?
I'd love to shine a spotlight on Jacqueline Langlois, and you can spell the Langlois. She is from the States, but she is an expat living over in Lyon, France. She's an executive coach and a leadership strategist, primarily in the agriculture world. And she is doing some amazing things. She has a retreat that's getting ready to come out in Italy. Wine, agriculture, leadership development. And so like me, she's just building up her business. And so I'd love to shine a spotlight on the work that she's doing out there in the world.
Italy, retreat, leadership development, sign me up. Like you've literally spoke
Right?
my love language. Like
I
it's
mean, me
all there.
develop with a glass of wine in my hand sounds great.
I'm in. So we'll link her in the show notes if you guys are curious about the work that Jacqueline's doing as well. Again, thesimplifiers.com. I believe gratitude and simplicity go hand in hand. Tell me, what are you grateful for today?
Aside from the conversation that you and I had today, I'm very, very grateful that you reached out to me. So thank you. Very grateful for you. And I'm really, really grateful for this time right now where I am in my life. I'm going to try not to get emotional about it. But girl, I'm going to be 60 in April. I'm going to be
Incredible.
60 and I have an opportunity to do something different and to have an impact on people and life, which is the whole reason why I got into learning and development in the first place, because I know that learning is the fruit of life. And so I'm really, really grateful that I get to still do what I love, but to do it in a different way. Yeah.
I love that. First off, 60 is the new 40. That's the word.
Yes, girl. Thank you.
And second, just to shine the spotlight back to you, I see you. You're doing amazing things. And I just want to encourage you to keep going. You are definitely onto something here that's going to make I think, a positive impact on corporate America as a whole. So keep going.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much.
So my final question is this, and maybe it's part 2 of my question earlier. My negative Nancy, someone somewhere is listening to you and I right now, and she's going, yeah, but it feels real heavy at work right now. I don't think I've got the energy to muster up any sort of level of joy on Monday. What's one thing you could whisper into her ear right now just to encourage her in this moment?
Same thing you just told me. Keep swimming, right? Just keep going. Maybe even have the courage to ask someone else, someone that you trust, Ask someone to give you their honest opinion on how you're showing up and what's one thing that you can do that'll make a difference for yourself more so than anybody else. And then just like start from there. Start from there.
Do the
Not
thing.
too late. It's never too late.
Yeah. Sheryl, thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, Mary. Thank you. I love the conversation.